Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 2 of the Unstoppable Leader podcast. In today's podcast, you'll hear the amazing story of how a 5-year-old, already successful Aussie business, Stagekings, went from losing almost 98% of his business during COVID-19 to doubling the number of staff and raising over $30,000 towards a charity. Now, this podcast goes through the story of grit and inspiring teamwork that had this business go from building Ninja Warrior sets and Formula One structures to making desks in less than a week. Jeremy is a super inspiring human being, and I hope you walk away with a number of lessons on how to handle things even in the toughest times and how to turn things around with what can only be described as extreme mental toughness. Hope you enjoy the episode. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Unstoppable Leader podcast with your guest, myself, Maria Patisetti. And with myself, I have today for you an unstoppable leader, Jeremy Fleming of Stagekings. How are you, Jeremy?
Really well, Maria. Thank you so much for having me.
Not a problem at all. And I have to say, I was just sharing with Jeremy not that long ago. I actually read about his story over the last few weeks because he is an amazing example of what is possible when you pivot, even in the most difficult times as we are in right now with COVID. And what you've done, Jeremy, is pretty phenomenal. Now, I don't want to steal your thunder, but I can tell the audience what you used to do as a business, and then you can tell them what you've done in the last few weeks. So correct me if I'm wrong. So you used to be, and I'm sure you will be post-COVID, an Australian full-service creative design, scaffold design and engineering firm that delivers decorated stages and structures. Did I get that right? Because I literally read that out.
Look, that is correct. So we, especially in the event space, so we work in the events industry, building stages for big events and concerts and festivals, and things like the Pop-Up Globe Theatre and the Formula Ones and Edinburgh Military Taps. We do a lot of those sorts of structures for those events.
Wow. So you had some pretty big customers and it was a good business. How long ago did you start, Jeremy? Tell me a little bit about the story of Stagekings, and then we can come to what's happened in the last few weeks.
Yeah, sure. It's an interesting backstory. So we were 5 years last month with Stage. Wow. We started. So my wife and I run the company, and like I say, 5 years ago, we've done some big stuff in that 5 years. We did the Commonwealth Games opening ceremony. We built everything you see on the television for that we did.
Wow.
A couple of years ago. So in 5 years, we grew from a little staging company to one of the main players in the Australian market.
Fantastic. What do you think was the reason for that success, Jeremy? 5 years is a short time in business, by the way.
It's quite short. Yeah. So, and surprising how quickly we grew. We just have a can-do attitude. Everyone that works for us, we're always trying to do things better. And like I keep telling the guys, we're called Stage Kings, so we can't do everything the same as everyone else. We need to be the best, and everyone has that mentality. And so we grew really quite quickly.
Is it a crowded space at all, Jeremy? I don't know much about the market.
Yeah. So look, there's about half a dozen main players in the country, and there's a lot of international players as well. So we're one of the main four now in the country, and it's everyone's busy though, so I don't think it's too crowded.
Yeah. Well, congratulations, because in 5 years to get that sort of status in the industry is pretty phenomenal. So I wanted to ask you, what happened when COVID hit? Tell us about that.
Well, I'll tell you where I was as well. We were in Melbourne. We were building the set for Ninja Warrior, which we do every year.
Oh, wow.
So we were in Melbourne working on that, as well as the Grand Prix. We built a giant set piece for the Miley Cyrus and Robbie Williams concert tour. So we were down there. It was Friday the 13th of March. We'll always remember Friday the 13th. And we were ready for the show. We were ready to meet. It was an English company had engaged us to build this set piece, and so we were there ready to meet with those guys. And we had a call the morning of the show. The morning the Formula One was supposed to open, that they cancelled that event, and it was that same day that the Prime Minister came out and said that there was a ban on all public gatherings of 500 people and more, which basically is 98% of what we do was cancelled when they cancelled that. So after that time was phone call after phone call of cancellations. Some things, Vivid and the Easter show and a bunch of festivals that we had on, all cancelled within that next week, and well, within a couple of days even. So we were, we were getting all the bad news, and
wow. How much of your business had you lost, Jeremy? Was that pretty much all of your business, or?
Look, all of we're not sure how long it was going to go for. We calculated that let's say the next 6 months we were going to lose about $2.5 million.
Good heavens! Yeah.
Which is winter's always a little quieter for us anyway. So it was the winter revenue. I felt immediately for the guys in Europe that were about to lose all of their summer income, because it's really hard to take.
Absolutely. So what did you do? I mean, I know quite a few friends in the events business, and it was absolutely crippling and devastating because there were so many, as with a lot of organizations, families get impacted, and I'm sure your staff. And how did you and your wife deal with it? It's a beautiful family business, I can relate. How did you cope with that from a mental perspective? And then how did you come up with the idea to do what you're doing now?
It was a massive blow, and we were, of course, really worried, as everyone was. Like you said, 600. It's just under 600,000 event workers basically lost all of their income and their jobs from that day. Yeah. So huge industry, and hit very hard, very early as well. So the first thing we started to think about was financially, how are we going to survive? We looked at all of our outgoings and the leases we have, and tried to work through how we could manage all of that. We also had to talk to all of our crew. We had 23 staff working on that day. Our numbers fluctuate depending on the events that we're working on. So at the time we had 23, and we had to talk to those guys and say, look, it's not. This ban is going to stop everything we're doing, and we're going to have no choice but to let people go. And we'd planned on what we needed to do to get through it, and that meant that we did have to make redundancies. We had to let casual staff go. We had to talk to our finance companies about halving or doing the best we could to postpone repayments. Same with our rent, and so we worked through all that, which was a terrible time. It was horrible, and we really struggled through it. We had the conversation. We said, look, there's a very good chance we'll lose our house in this to keep things going. And we even spoke to my parents live up in Hervey Bay, and we spoke to them and said, look, worst comes to worst, we might have to move up your way. So we were preparing for the worst while hoping for the best.
Yes, absolutely. And then what happened?
Well, we always were thinking, what can we still do? And we were thinking of what we could do with the scaffold and the truss, and we could make some temporary waiting rooms and things for hospitals and things. But nothing really took off. And so we did on the Friday, the 20th of March, we let all of our staff go. And Mick and Mick is our head of production, who is an integral part of the business. We planned on just he and I basically working 2 days a week, just to try and keep things ticking over. So it was that Friday that everyone left. On the Sunday that week, I was talking to a friend of mine in Ireland, a guy named Steve Fox from Flying Elephant, amazing company over there. And he said, look, we're looking at making some furniture, and you guys should consider doing the same thing. We had similar machines and people and skill sets. And so that was a switch for me. And it was 11 a.m. on Sunday morning. I messaged Mick, we need to build desks. This is what's going to help. So we messaged Mick, and the next big coincidence is that Mick designs and makes furniture in his spare time. So
wow. I was going to ask you, how did Mick take that? But obviously
he loves it. I think he prefers it. He doesn't want to go back to stages. So this is his hobby. It's something he loves and he's very good at. And so on the Sunday, I told him at 11 a.m. He worked on it through the day and the night, and came in on Monday morning with plans and actually some 3D prints that he'd done, prototyping these desks. and that was it. They were perfect. We thought that it's definitely the way. We were so into it that we got some ply, cut them that morning, and then ran with it from there. That Monday evening, we did the e-commerce site. My wife Tabitha, she does. She's handy that way, and she got that e-commerce page up and running. Tuesday morning, we did photos in my house of the desks that we'd cut, and we were live by 3 p.m. on Tuesday afternoon.
Wow. I have to say though, you actually focused on almost a little niche. They were actually work from home desks, right? It was when I remember looking at that picture on Facebook, and it was so unique. The whole design, it was beautiful, catchy design. So did you focus in just on that, right? Work from home
We did.
desks?
That's all we were thinking about. We were thinking there's going to be whole industries of people needing to work from home and needing desks. And so we thought that these desks that we were making, they click together in 30 seconds.
Wow.
And they can be packed away every day. It's better than a trestle table. It still looks good. It's totally functional, and that was what we ran with, and it worked really well.
So from the day you supposedly closed the doors, which was the 20th of March, is that right? Did I get the dates right?
20th of March.
To getting the entire e-commerce site up and running, how long was that? A week or less than that?
Less. So Friday we were running by the following Tuesday.
Wow, unbelievable. And how did you go about sourcing materials? Because I'm just thinking supply chain was also a nightmare, Jeremy. How did you get that sorted?
Yeah, look, it is. Luckily for us, a lot of things. We when we build stages, we use a lot of materials like that. We use a lot of timber, and we're always doing things, changing the way we do things, and looking for better ways. And our stages that we build nothing's ever the same, really. Nothing ever looks the same twice. So we build. We did the same thing with this. We looked at it as a project. This is the project we're taking on now. We talked to our timber suppliers, which we have, to see who had the birch ply we needed, and there was plenty in the country. Luckily, we're using a lot of it, so we got onto those guys, and they delivered. We got the first delivery on the Wednesday morning, and we called straight away. We called some half a dozen crew back that Wednesday. So they didn't work from Friday to Wednesday, and they've worked every day since.
That is just so awesome. And how quickly did you get the orders in?
That Tuesday, I posted that what you're saying that you just read.
Yeah.
I posted that on Tuesday at 3:00 on Tuesday. That's something I wrote that day, and it went. That post went kind of viral, I guess you'd say, and it's now had 750,000, a reach of 750,000 people. And
wow.
Yeah, so it was just posted. We sold 20 desks that afternoon.
Oh my goodness. And I also know that since then, well, actually on that day or that week, you decided to actually help a not-for-profit organization. Can you tell me a little bit about that? Because you were amazing, both you and your wife Tabitha, because you weren't just, not only have you gone on to employ more people, which I'll come to, but you've actually helped the industry. So can you tell me a little bit about that not-for-profit?
Yeah, so Support Act is a charity that supports the event industry, the Australian live music, and we decided that we were helping them the minute we decided to make desks. We calculated into our pricing that we wanted to donate $10 from every desk to Support Act. So, and that's what we've been doing. And in the first month, we donated over $20,000 to those guys. So
wow.
Like I said earlier, there's 600,000 event workers and entertainment personnel out of work. And these are the first guys to put their hand up whenever there's an issue in the country. Yeah, bushfires, that they'll put their hand up and put on a concert for free. And these guys help everyone. And so Support Act helps them at this really tough time.
That's phenomenal. And how many people, have you employed more people now, Jeremy, than your previous business?
We have. So we're sitting at 56 staff now.
Wow.
56 crew back working. And these are all event crew as well. So we've got guys that do site management and event cleaning and venue management and venue workers and all these people from all these different companies within the industry here helping sanding and delivering and packaging, and it's been an amazing thing to be able to help some of those guys.
And how did you get them all trained up? I mean, obviously, there's beautiful energy with what you're doing, but how did they just get all onboarded so quickly and get up and running? I mean, it's amazing. Such an energizing story and such an inspiring story, Jeremy.
Yeah, thank you. We have a lot of set builders and carpenters that work for us already. The ones that we brought back, they've kind of taken the lead on different areas. We've all had to learn new things because none of us have built furniture before.
Or sold it.
Or sold it, or done e-commerce or retail, and so we've had to learn all that along the way. And we just put the call out to the event through event channels and said we're looking for people that are happy to come and sand and package and deliver. And people were putting their hands up everywhere to help, and so we've got as many as we could in to help to do that. And it's really through some guidance they've picked it up very quickly, and we're putting out a top shelf product.
Absolutely. Well, can you tell me about your new product? That was it actually launched for Mother's Day?
It was, yeah. We've put out a few times asking people what they wanted. So we started with the desk, the normal desk and the stand-up desk. We then moved on to wine racks, and we do a lot of other things, stools and smaller desks for kids and different size desks and things, and vinyl crates. And now we put it out to everyone and said, look, what else would you guys be interested in while you're locked up in isolation? And overwhelming, everyone wanted puzzle desks, these boards for building puzzles on. And so we looked at the best way to do that, and to put a bit of an angle on that to save people's necks and backs and make it a bit ergonomic. And so we did that. We put out a 1,000-piece puzzle board with a stand, and we put that out midnight the night before yesterday, just before Mother's Day. Put it out for a Mother's Day sale, and we actually sold 141 of those during the day yesterday. So it's quite incredible.
I'm certainly one of your buyers for sure. I'm going to get one because it's unbelievable. That's crazy. So I was just thinking, are you going to go back to the previous business?
Look, it's a good question. We're expecting events to come back in a small way, potentially from later this year. I can't see a big event happening potentially until next year, but we'll do what we can in the event space. But in the meantime, we're going to continue along with this furniture. And look, I really do think we'll run it as a separate business when that all happens, because I think we're doing a great job of it. I can see the focus coming back really strongly on Australian manufacturing.
Yes.
And if we can be in the right place there, we'll continue that.
Absolutely. And I guess from the perspective of the innovation, you mentioned that you're asking your customers. I mean, this is 101, right? In terms of ask your customers what they want. It's amazing. How are you doing that? Has it been social media that's part of this whole feedback loop, Jeremy? What's worked?
It's almost entirely social media, actually. So we put it out on Facebook and Instagram, and we do a bit on LinkedIn. We didn't even know really what Twitter was when we started this, which is crazy. But we had so many calls from people saying, "Oh, we heard about you on Twitter." Wow, okay, so the people are on Twitter as well. So we're on Twitter, and then people are talking about Pinterest and all these other things. But purely socials. We're putting some money now into that to try and promote a little more, and that's where we're at.
Well, you're listening to your customers and you're giving them what they need.
Yeah, that's what we're pretty keen to keep doing that, and we get every day people message us because we've been so open about we need your advice. What would you like? People are throwing more things at us, and we've got another piece we'll release later this week that people have been asking for, and then next week we're going to release another set of things actually. So some quite cool things.
So in a span of, is it a month or 2 months?
We've just ticked over 6 weeks. Actually,
6 weeks.
6.5 weeks now. Yeah.
6.5 weeks. And how many products have you innovated and created?
We're up to 20 on the website now. So
that's unbelievable.
Yeah, we're blown away too. And we said from the start, look, we'll keep putting out new things. We've got a lot of ideas. We'll keep putting them out, and as things don't stop selling, we'll take them off the website. Nothing stopped selling yet, so we'll leave them all on there for now.
That's just crazy. That goes against any traditional belief, right? Obviously, your belief system is pretty amazing, Jeremy, yours and your team's.
We do have a great team. Yeah,
fantastic
everyone thinks
team.
the same way. Everyone takes ownership. Like I said, we've got all these event guys. We've got carpenters that have set up dispatch systems, and we've got set builders that are organising delivery drivers and things like that. It's amazing what people are doing, and they've all taken such ownership, and we couldn't have done it without the team we've got.
Well, see, the thing is, I think it's the heart, Jeremy. I think one thing is, of course, gosh, you go into that space of what do I do to look after my family? But I think immediately you thought of your entire industry. So it's no surprise that the entire industry is right behind you. All of those people that you recruited, it's not a surprise at all. So you've got that culture going, Jeremy. It's pretty impressive. So I know that you actually have a pretty cool naming convention for your products too, haven't you? Sort of.
Yeah.
I love the names. So what was that first desk called?
So it's the ISO King desk. So
yes,
we ran with ISO King. We're Stage Kings is our company name, and thought, well, look, let's what do you call a Stage King in isolation? And so it was the ISO King, and so that's what we've run with. And it's we did it a bit tongue in cheek to start with, but the name's really working.
So good. So absolutely brilliant marketing as well, without even realizing it's brilliant marketing, right, Jeremy?
That's right. And we also, I don't know if you've noticed, we took our old logo and just put a pen line through creative stages and structures, and we've just written work from home.
So good. It's as if you were a case study of exactly how to perfectly launch a business and perfectly doing it, and with no planning, right? I mean, it goes against every belief system that's out there that you have to have this beautiful business plan and you need this marketing plan and everything, and you've just done this damn thing in about six weeks.
Every decision's been made in minutes, and
I mean the branding. I mean, you didn't even use social media before this, did you?
Very rarely. We had a few hundred people following us. So.
Wow. So you've got all the ISO products. So what was the puzzle product called?
We're calling it the puzzle board, the ISO King puzzle board. So it's part of the ISO King range.
So you're going to keep going, Jeremy?
We are going to keep going. We're actually we're very excited about a new lot of stuff we're doing for a back to work range of stuff as well. So it's a COVID specific modular furniture for actually going back into the office. So we've actually put another line under our logo now saying plus back to work furniture. So
good. Is that you, Jeremy? Tabitha, who's the creative?
Yeah. Well, we've got some designers, and we tell them what we want. And I said that pretty quickly. Let's put a line through that. And I only want it handwritten. Don't do anything fancy. So
that was the best thing about it. I think it was such a down to earth, warm brand. I mean, I saw this on Facebook, right? Something about it was so appealing. The story, the warmth of it, everything. I think everything just fitted in beautifully. So, and what a success story for manufacturing locally, though. I'm so happy.
That's the big thing we want to push. We're Australian made. Everything we buy is sourced from Australian suppliers. Where it's actually sustainable materials we're using, and we're recycling. We're also recycling 100% of the offcuts. So we're pretty happy with the way that's going. That's
awesome. So I wanted to ask you a final question. So for those who are out there, whether it's in your industry or any industry, who are stuck, right? Probably in the same place you were on that Friday the 13th.
Yeah.
And who have come some way or are still stuck because of fear or whatever. What advice would you give those people out there?
Look, my main advice to everyone is don't procrastinate. If you've got an idea, move on it. The speed of that we moved on these ideas is what's got us to where we are. The same thing for us. We've got people, reach out to people as well, and reach out to other people in your industry. No one's going through this alone. So anyone that calls us and says that they're doing it tough, we'll find something for them to do. And we really want to help as many as we can. And there's a lot of people out there like that. We're not the only company that's still going and trying to help people. And that's kind of my only advice is just keep talking to people and stay in touch.
Thank you, Jeremy. And one more thing. Final question, I promise. Because
not a problem.
Fear. How did you not let fear cripple you, given how devastating the blow was?
That's a very good question.
Are you just fearless by nature?
Look, I wouldn't have thought so. No, I've got a really strong support network with my wife Tabitha. I'm not going to lie. I struggle with things quite often, and she talks me through things, and it's important to have that support. And the way that we do look at things, and the whole industry, the whole of our company is the same. Is if something's not going right, we think, well, okay, good. What can we do? What can we do with that? Something good's going to come of it. How can we be in the right place for that? And so I actually, I don't know if you know Jocko Willink. There's a video of his called "Good" that I watch all the time.
This is the SEAL, yeah.
Yeah, the Navy SEAL.
Navy SEAL, yes, I love him.
He says, okay, something's gone wrong. Good. Well, what are you going to do about it? And I have that mentality, and all of our guys here have that mentality, and so we're always thinking, okay, good. What are we going to do about it?
Fantastic. Speed, right? Speed and absolute faith that it will work out.
Yeah. Speed's a big one. Yeah.
Speed's a big one. Thank you so much for your time, Jeremy. And I wish you all the best. And I'm no doubt I'll see you on TV. If you already aren't on there, you have to get on it. Because it is a beautiful story of what's possible.
Maria, thanks so much for having me, and I really appreciate the support.
Thank you very much, Jeremy.
Thank you.
Bye.
Cheers.
Hope you enjoyed that. Thanks for tuning in to the Unstoppable Leader podcast with me, your host, Maria Parisetti. And if I may ask for a favor, please drop me a review on iTunes. I'd love your feedback and love to hear what you think. And if you want to stay up to date with me and the business, then please go to digitalarmor.com.au or our podcast website, which is theunstoppableleader.com. Thanks for listening, and until next time, be unstoppable.